and
Yeah.
people were like, "It's so Japan biased. How is Tamami Daifuku number one?"
How many how many times do you feel like vindicated from some of your rankings, from the shoe stats rankings, from your personal rankings, from also just your personal biases and belief? How many times have you been vindicated, or at least shown that, hey man, bro called it from a mile away, and we're just waiting for that to actually come to full fruition. We're just waiting for that to show up. Like, how many times have you seen yourself be vindicated by that? Because we're seeing it already. Everyone sees it for Didi, and everyone's expecting it, but you've been calling it for a little bit. Same thing for Syrup.
Yeah,
Like, and
I
everyone's all
think
saying for Alan Dis too.
I think a few times in the past that I have been is, um, I mean, the biggest one is Hurt, and yeah, I think the biggest one was Hurt. Um, Another one that I remember in 2022, I thought that like Sonics was like top 10 if not top 5, and then he got like number 12 I think in the world. And I remember I was like, damn, he's gonna be there though. And I remember him tweeting like kind of the same thing of like, I I remember he was tweeting about being disappointed at number 12 in 2022, but he
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Well, I'm gonna be there. Like, I'm gonna be, you know, top 10 for sure next season, and like, maybe even higher." Another big one was Bloom Forever,
Mm.
uh, because I remember he would only attend like English tournaments for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And I remember seeing like he had a super high rating and I had never heard of him. And then I looked into him and it's like, dude, this guy is really like has like performances in his region that I've never seen before and that I don't even think like uh some top 100 players could replicate.
Yeah.
And I was like, this dude, like I remember I have a friend who plays Bayonetta.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And I was telling him about Bloom Forever, and he's like, he's not gonna be better than Lima. And then he went to uh I forget where he went, but I want to say it was like France or something, and he did really well.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
want to say he beat Gluttony, and it was history from there. Actually, same thing with um Daifuku.
Mm.
To stay on the topic of Bayonetta, is I remember in the beginning of 2023, um actually I remember the first time I learned about him was beginning of 2023. I went to Japan with AC, um, and AC actually played him in tournament and beat him.
Mm.
And I was like, I wonder how good of a win this is. And I looked him up, and he had like a really high rating. And I
Yeah.
was like, I bet he'll be good. And then people were like, kind of like clowning on me for in the very first iteration of my character top 100s, he was
Mm-hmm.
number one. Tama Pidaifuku was the number one Bayo, and
Yeah.
people were like, "It's so Japan biased. How is Tama Pidaifuku number one?" Like seriously,
Yeah.
people, that was like the one that had the biggest backlash of being Japan biased because Tama Pidai they had never heard of Tama Pidaifuku and he was number one.
Yeah.
And then in 2024, literally the next season, he was I want to say top 10, right? He was number 8 in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a big one. It's funny how it's happened with two different Bayos. Um,
The weeb allegations. There you
but yeah, I
go.
remember, yeah, like people like kind of clowned on me for putting Tama P as the number one Bayo in late
Yeah.
2023. So that was one opportunity or one instance where I felt vindicated.
It's like, hey man, y'all could say what you want, whatever, but yeah, those rankings kind of don't lie. Yeah. Damn,
Mhm.
that's crazy. No, next thing you know, it's gonna be like oh god, what's that one? I'm trying to remember the movie, the Eagle Eye. where they predict the crimes before they do it. You're gonna predict the top 10 before they arrive.
Yeah, actually, I mean, it's kind of what the algorithm like kind of does is
Yeah.
it's kind of because the whole point is it's built to try and predict how a bracket is gonna play out. Like that's kind of what seeding is
Yeah.
like who is expected to perform the best in the future. And
Hmm.
so if you extrapolate that out, like the algorithm is how people are expected to do in tournament in the future. So it's
Hmm.
kind of a look into how people might um, perform in the next season. Of course, people can go up and down in skill level, but on average, they'll stay at the where they are now.
Hmm.
And so it's funny how often it can predict how well people will do in future seasons.
That's awesome. You know what we need to do? We should do the have you ever heard of the or did you ever watch that show Street Outlaws?
No, I haven't. Tell me about it.
So Street Outlaws is a I don't know if it's still on, but it's a show on Discovery. It was one of their top shows, and what they did is they followed around a bunch of street racers out of Oklahoma, OKC specifically, and they have a ranking system. But the way they do their ranking is based on callouts, so you have to make the list. So they have a top 10
Mm,
list, right? So the goal obviously is to be number 1 and then to defend yourself, and then you get the crown. So it's like, okay, you have your top 10, and then you have your two racers that are considered the gatekeepers, and then you have to challenge the gatekeepers to get a shot to call out the bottom person of top 10, right?
mm, mhm,
So one season they're like, hey man, we're literally seeing the same 8 races every night with very little change, and there's a new guy that we all know who's starting to get into it. Let's do something different. So they do every so often called the shake up, uh, where they take uh, their top 10 perspectives or prospects, and they'll also throw in their um, the gatekeepers, and the first 10 they pull out is how they establish the list. And that's how they'll establish the list. It's like, but the thing about the list is you'll end up where you're supposed to be eventually.
yeah.
And the the funniest version was this guy goes by a farm truck because he has an old farm truck, and it's the biggest, heaviest vehicle that's there, but it accommodates the huge street slicks for it, so it works out in his favor. All that weight is able to push it back to the rear tires, despite the fact he has a huge motor up front.
Mhm.
Um, he loses, but because he was of the top of the 10 that they picked, he lost the race, and he starts the list at number 10, and he goes, can't believe it, lose the first race and end up still being in the top 10. So potentially, like, their number one guy for a long time was a guy named Chief. um he could have been the first one to be there, would have won, been ninth on the list, and he would have had to make his way all the way back up to the top and be number 1. But again, at that point, you consistently prove yourself over and over and over again, and you'll land where you're supposed to. The list will always tell
Yep.
you where you end up going to be, right? So I'm saying we got to do a list version.
Actually, there's someone who's doing something similar.
Ooh.
I don't know if he's still doing it. It's a guy from I want to say Connecticut, somewhere in New England,
Mm-hmm.
and his name is Alex. He's a snake player.
Mm-hmm.
He's PR in New England, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And he does what's called the Alex rank,
Mm-hmm.
where he he did this a few months ago and he updated it every so often. And I don't know if he still updates it, but um, he started with the top 10, just like he started with the New England PR. And if you beat someone uh, on the ranking, on the top 10 ranking,
Mm-hmm.
you would take their spot.
Yep, exactly like the
And
list.
then and then this would continue, and uh I don't know. I wonder if I could find the most recent version. Let's see if I can find it with a quick cursory. Yeah, here you go. This was the most recent one from October. I'll put it in the chat.
Ooh.
Um, like it's kind of funny. Um, and this was right after Cola won some big tournament. Um, oh, it
Hey.
was it was after Luminosity Invitational, which Cola won. So
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
number one. Um,
Ooh, this looks like it's gonna be pretty fun to look at. I'm gonna link this
there-
also in the description after the fact. It's a
okay.
pretty funny
Uh,
looking thing.
yeah, here's one from, let's see, hold on. Here's one from uh August, which is funny because this one looks a lot more like the actual rankings. Um, and it's because it was right after Supernova, which was kind of went mostly as expected.
Which is funny because you
You know,
see JDV at fourth in this in the Alex rank. Like no shade
yeah,
against him, but like you look at everyone
it's
there, it's like, ooh,
I
that
think it's because like he ended up there before Supernova and then didn't go to Supernova, so he just kind of stayed there.
yo, his spot was saved because he didn't show up.
Yep.
Damn,
But
that is some
anyway,
gaming of the system for
but this is just kind of a funny ranking. Um, yeah.
I love that. That's awesome. So I think we need to do the list. And you got to do the call outs and you got to put a wager on it as like, hey, I think I can hit the gatekeepers. It's like, well, it's gonna cost you $100. It's like, all right, and it's a best of 5, and boom, whether or not they move into the top 10, then they can ask for the top 10.
Mhm.
Woo, man, that'd
Yeah,
be hilarious to see.
this
We
is
gotta
kind of a funny thing.
let's
Yeah, hit up
let's
hit up hit up hit up Alex, tell him to update
we got
it.
all right, man. We got to do the list, and they have to challenge the top 10. They have to challenge the list. I love it. Oh my
Mhm.
god, that's gonna be hilarious. Let's see if we can get that situated. Um,
Yeah.
so there is a dude who would take the sleeves of. Oh yes, there was that guy. Oh my god, there's a guy. I forgot his name. And he wouldn't ask for money if you lost a race against him, he will ask for the sleeves of your shirt.
Like like this, yeah.
Oh yeah. And
Oh, with scissors, he just
he would cut off the
that's funny.
sleeves. It's like, there you go, I got the sleeves. So you better
That's
make sure
funny.
your car was finely tuned, or you didn't stall or jump the light when you weren't supposed to, because otherwise you'd lose your
Mhm.
sleeves. Come on, man. How embarrassing is that?
That's funny.
You know what? I feel like if Light was on that, he would do the same things. Like, come on, give me the sleeves.
He'd have his own sleeves on there too.
He would just do this, and
Yeah,
then boom, takes the sleeves off. Yeah,
yeah.
I need to see weird, silly side betting like that. We got to see more call outs like that on in Smash Brothers, because that'd be hilarious to
That's
see.
funny.
Oh man, it's good stuff.